Hello, you are listening to 9394, a music podcast with Travis Roy. That's me. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing well. I am happy to have back on the show Kandice Morrissette. She was on episode 50 not that long ago. We talked about Tori Amos, and she wanted to come back, and so she did. And we're talking today about Sarah McLachlan's Fumbling Towards Ecstasy from 1993. Well, technically 1993 because she's Canadian, and that's when it was released in Canada and the US and elsewhere. It wasn't available until 1994. Any old who. Here is Kandice and I, who we just saw each other in person not that long ago at the New Way Bar in Ferndale at the 93-94 event put on by our buddy Dustin. And that was nice to actually get to meet her in person. Anyway, yeah, so here we are talking Sarah McLachlan.
Hi.
How's it going this morning?
Good.
Well, Kandice, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I'm really excited to see you again and talk about another major musician from the 1990s, a woman who I feel like was so famous and huge in the 90s and does not get nearly enough attention and discussion today. Who and what album are we talking about today?
We're talking about Sarah McLachlan's Fumbling Towards Ecstasy.
Don't tell me I haven't been good to you. Don't tell me I have never been there for you. Don't tell me why nothing is good enough.
Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. What a ubiquitous album for a while. It really was.
Yes.
Do you remember how you got into it?
Of course, everyone heard Possession endlessly. That was the big hit off of it. So that obviously pulled me in. But it wasn't until later when I was traveling and I'm like, oh, I want a new CD to listen to on the plane because, back then you had your entertainment that you brought on the plane.
Right.
It wasn't provided for you. And I'm like, oh, I need something to listen to. And I was in a bookstore. I'm like, oh, I've always liked this song. And then I put the CD in and I'm just kind of like, don't let me go. It was just it just sucked me right in. It lets me go every once in a while, but then it's just kind of hey, remember this entire album? Put it on. It's one that I listen all the way through.
Yeah, so it's one that you've returned to over the years, not one that you've set down and come back to for the show, but it's part of you.
Yeah, it's part of me. I do a lot of writing, and every once in a while I'm like, I need to get into this headspace. Let me put this album on. It's
That makes sense. Yeah, it's a very moody album, but not in a depressive or dark way exactly. It has a really specific feel to it that you don't really get in a lot of other places, I feel like.
No, and a lot of this album was kind of influenced by, she did her first two albums, and she was very young. She started when she was 19 recording music.
Yeah, I didn't know she was only 24, 25 when this came out.
Exactly, and she went to Cambodia and Thailand for the first time, so it was a big shock from being here's my nice sheltered Canadian life to what reality is elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's and that a lot of what she saw there influenced her on this record.
And she clearly is an old soul anyway. There's something about what she's talking about and just her approach to songwriting. I mean, I knew that this wasn't her first album, but it's her breakthrough album. But I would have guessed that this was coming from a 30-year-old or maybe even older than that. Someone that has just a lot of life experience and wisdom,
Exactly, right? I've gone through a lot of trauma, but she's very good at this didn't happen to me, but I can write it. She's really good at getting into that perspective of the story.
That is something I've kind of picked up on and listening to it the last couple weeks, which I have never listened to this album before. I'm kind of embarrassed to say now. Unlike Tori Amos, who I'd spent some time with, I never listened to this album once in my life until recently. I'm not saying I didn't like the singles because it's not I sat around oh great, that new Sarah McLachlan single's out when I was 17. I wasn't doing that, but I was listening to the radio a lot at this time and MTV, and these songs were everywhere. So when I started listening to this album of the last week or two, the singles, I still knew like almost all the words to. And I was like, oh shit, like I haven't heard this song in 25, 30 years or whatever almost, but I still know the words to most of it. And then it was like, you know what really kind of, I think, turned me off of Sarah McLachlan as a kid? And it was quite a few years after this came out. So I was kind of like a punk rock ska kid in my teen years, you know, so this wasn't quite my genre. And then when I graduated high school, the song that's not on this album that I thought that it was, I Will Remember You, I guess it's from the Brothers McMullen soundtrack, Edward Burns movie from like 95. That song was our school song. That was like what they played for us to walk out and like, you know, that whole bit. It was like our class song. And it was one of those things where like, it was a subject of scorn. I mean, like amongst my friends group particularly, we were all like, what the fuck? How did this song? Because we kind of like started like making fun of it. And then the Angel song was used in all those ASPCA videos. And so I really wasn't giving her the credit that she was due. But listening to this the last couple of weeks, I was like, holy shit, this is actually a really, really strong album. And my favorite, I had a hard time choosing, and not amongst the singles, which is what I would have guessed. There's a lot of meat on this bone.
Oh yeah, there's so much. And coming back to that, like I feel like her next album was really saturated. Like, you know, you heard Angel, Building a Mystery, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
She just skyrocketed, and then it was almost overplayed.
I think that's it. I think that between this album and the next one, I think that she was a little bit overplayed, at least here in the States. I'm not sure how it worked in Canada and elsewhere. Clearly an international star. I'd like to hope that she's got more respect outside the U.S. because I think that people got kind of sick of her and don't really respect her as much as they should, because her name is not like synonymous with the 90s in the way that, say, I don't know, Kurt Cobain's would be or something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, this shit was everywhere. The singles from these two albums, you could not escape them.
No. But like this one always drew me in. It's like, I like her other stuff. You know, there's some great songs, and like, again, there's stories, and they're great stories. But like none of her albums sucked me in like this one did.
Yeah. What's your favorite song on this album?
This was very, very hard for me to choose.
I bet.
I literally like did like the last half hour. I'm like, okay, was it this one or is it this one? Or maybe it's this one.
Yeah.
I knew like my least favorite. I knew my underrated. I'm going to have to go with Fear.
Fear is your favorite. Talk to me about it.
Right now.
Yeah, I understand.
Right now.
Given the change, given the moment.
Yeah, given the change, given the moment. I keep coming back to that one. There's a lot of almost like songs that are almost like by like, you know, almost like a toxic relationship or sort of thing. But this is like you're with someone and you're just like, I'm here, I'm in this lonely place. I feel like I have nothing to give and I have so much to lose, but I'm here. That's sort of like, you know, like almost like new relationship fear when you get past all the butterflies and everything. It's just kind of like, oh, now we gotta like start thinking about this in a real way.
Yeah.
There are stakes in this, you know, I give part of myself to you, and what are you going to do with it? You could like easily just break it and then I'm left with nothing, you know, sort of thing.
I think that you're getting at what is an under-heralded aspect of her songwriting, which is her lyrics. I did not notice as a kid just how effective her lyrics were. She is incredibly empathic and just able to like, just kind of like get you, you know, just kind of get you in just a couple of lines. She's really emotive.
Yeah, she is. And like I said in the last episode, I was the one like sitting there staring at the lyric book every time, just going along with it, trying to get it. And even now, like even like driving around today, I'm like, I heard something new in a song that I've listened to all the time. And I'm just like, oh, that hits differently now. You know, it's like.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is the mark of a truly, like, not just a great album, but something that's like great to you. It's important to you, like that you can still pull new things from it at this point. And there's something to be said about listening with real intention which is something that I do a lot now with the podcast. I didn't do so much before the podcast, like trying to like deliberately assess things and like just be more consciously like evaluating an album. It makes me find stuff that I hadn't necessarily heard before as well with albums that I've been listening to a million times.
Yeah, I'll go back and be like, I used to love the song. It's not as great as I thought it was. Like, why did I think this was a great song? And I even knew the lyrics, but I didn't get the lyrics. And I'm like, oh, I get the lyrics, and it's not great.
Fear is definitely a song. I mean, like, pretty much every single song on here is a standout song. Like, a lot of these, if not all, I mean, almost every song on here could have been a single, for sure.
Yeah.
I really thought I was going to choose a single as my favorite song from this album. And then I end up really kind of trying to decide between two non-singles, one being Wait, and then the other one being that what I settled on as my favorite. I got to go with Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, the title track and outro song. It's so powerful. It's so like haunting and hopeful, but sad at the same time. I will not fear love. I will not fear love. And the more she says it, the more you know that this is the history, that she fears love ordinarily.
Yeah.
She's fighting that, you know?
And it's almost like the antithesis to fear. It's just kind of like, okay, all the fear has left me now. I'm not frightened. I'm giving into this. You know, the fear is that fight, that worry, and the fumbling is giving in.
You see like a connection between these two songs too, right? Like they're not next to each other on accident.
No, I don't think they are.
Yeah, I don't think they are either. It's not just the recurring theme of fear. There is like this connection between these two songs. I mean, I don't know if that's a theme album or anything, but these two songs specifically, I feel like there's a deliberate connection there. And again, maybe it's one of the few ones that maybe wouldn't have worked as a single, but it is ethereal.
And if I shed a tear, I won't cage it. I won't fear love. And if I feel a rage, I won't deny it. I won't fear
Oh yeah, there's a lot, like I gravitate towards like ethereal sort of things. Probably why I like this album. There's a lot of ethereal bits in this album that are just like, I like this. I just want to wrap myself in this, you know, especially when she sings in her lower tune. Like I like her lower voice more than like her higher sort of angelic voice. Like I just want to wrap myself in it.
Yeah, she seems to sing in that lower register more often, even though I feel like the higher stuff is probably what people would generally recognize as a good singer, as opposed to, like, you know what I mean? Not that it inherently is or anything, but it just stands out more. But what she's doing, you're right, like there is a very warm, comforting kind of feel in her singing voice. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. And I've gravitated towards that too. It's like, you know, one of the reasons that draw me to Fiona Apple. She does that balance. She has that low and that high. You appreciate the highs more because she hits those lows.
Yeah.
And
sense.
like, you know, a lot of pop music, I feel like they don't go down there. It's like, here, just stay in this voice, you know, be this girly sound.
Yeah. And she's not really concerned with that, it doesn't seem, which is probably partly why she became such a hallmark for like female musicians and, you know, Lilith Fair and all that kind of stuff. She's certainly well embraced, like by the lesbian community as well, that kind of stuff. I mean, not simply because she's a woman that makes music, but there's probably, you know, I say this as a dude, it seems to me that there's something that resonates as very human and very real, which anyone could appreciate.
Speaking of Lilith Fair, I went to the first one. It was great, from what I remember of it, because it's like many years ago.
Yeah, it was like 94, wasn't it, or something like that, 95?
Oh no, it was 97.
Okay.
It was right after she put out the album after this one.
Okay, and she played, right? She was at the first Lilith Fair, right?
Yep, she was a closer.
Wow.
It was just wonderful to be like, you know, person after person on stage. It's all female artists, you know. It was fantastic.
How cool. They don't do it anymore, right? It stopped. It was like a few and then done.
Yeah, I listened to an interview about that. It's just like, you know, like we were trying to like carve out a space for ourselves in music. And then like, after we're done with it, music changed for women. Like it started going like, oh, let's focus on Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
It started becoming like, even still now, it's hard to be like, you know, like, oh, what's a female rock band? What's a female-led rock band in the States?
Yeah, you're right. There's a few. I mean, they're out there.
They're out there.
They're out there. But most of the women making music these days, in the U.S. especially, from what I can tell, are either creating like some sort of hip-hop or pop type thing, or like hybrid between the two. Like hip-hop, pop, and then country. There's not like a lot of... But that just also speaks to the fact there's just not a lot of popular rock or alternative rock or whatever. It's hard to pigeonhole Sarah McLachlan's work as alternative necessarily, or even rock. It's not like it's weird or undefinable, but at the same time, it's very distinctly just like her thing, right?
Yeah. It's just like, you know, it's folky, but it's
kind of electronic almost in a way, but not.
Yeah. It's just like, describe this person's music.
Yep. Dancing about architecture.
Yep.
So what about your least favorite song on this album?
Mary just never really sat well with me.
Mary walks down to the water's edge, and there she hangs her head to find herself fade, the shadow of what she once was. She said, how long have I been sleeping?
Speaking of electronic, that starts off with like, it's almost like someone pressed play on the Casio. It builds on that, but yeah.
Yeah, and it does. It's just sort of like, I don't know what it is about like either just like, and then it's like lyrics I haven't dived into, you know, because I'm just kind of like, next song, you know, it's just like, it's there, but I'm like, it just feels like weird. It just doesn't feel like it goes there between like Good Enough and Elsewhere, but maybe it did for her.
Yeah, but maybe she was trying to do something a little bit lighter or something. I mean, I'm not going to pick a least good song on the album because, you know, this is the first time I've ever really spent any time with it, so it wouldn't make sense for me to have a least good or an underrated track here. But I kind of guessed that was maybe going to be your least favorite. It's the only song on the album that doesn't quite feel like it fits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every other song, really, they all congeal well together. And that song, it almost feels like one that she liked doing, but didn't necessarily work for the album, but she wanted to put it on there anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not that it's bad.
I mean, even Ice Cream, as like almost upbeat and perky as it is, still fits.
Yeah.
It fits. And it's talking about that, like, you know, like, oh, well, your love is better than ice cream. So it's just like that first blush of love where you're like almost addicted to that feeling.
Your love is better than ice cream, better than anything else that I've tried. Your love is better than ice cream. Everyone here knows how to fight.
Yeah, that song Ice Cream, it shows that she can be upbeat, easily upbeat and positive. And like, it's not mopey music that she's making by any means. It's just a lot of it is very serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ice Cream shows that she could do stuff that's a little bit more peppy, I guess, for lack of a better word. Whereas Mary does feel, I like every song on this album, but Mary was the one that kind of stuck out to me too.
Yeah.
Okay, then that being out of the way, underrated?
Ice.
The ice is thin, come on, dive in. Underneath my lucid skin, the cold is lost, forgotten. Hours pass, days pass, time stood still. Light gets dark and darkness fills my secret heart, forbidden.
I had this feeling you were going to pick Ice. I had this, because that was the other one that was like, I'm not as sure about this song. But then I thought about when you and I did Tori Amos, and like, you clearly like kind of like vocal departures, right? Like in kind of like ethereal, the kind of like floaty, weightless kind of songs. Cool.
The music always pulls me in, but like, again, she was talking about like, you know, her time in Thailand and Cambodia, where, you know, like there's like a lot of sex work, and she's just like, you know, like, how is that? And that's basically, if you, again, the lyrics, basically giving yourself to this person you don't want to give yourself to, but the desire is there. It's like, I don't like this person. I don't like what you stand for. Only a fool is here to stay is the last line of the song. And she's just like, I'm a fool and I'm here, and we're just going to keep going. The cycle's just going to keep happening. It's the one song that she's written that has like, she feels like does not have any hope in it.
Really?
Like, you know, the characters do not have a happy ending in this tale.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't pick up on the subject matter of that. I'm going to have to listen to that one again. And I definitely will. Maybe I also thought of it because Ice and Icicle, your other favorite from Tori Amos.
Yeah, well, I get that one. I like icy songs, you know?
I guess so.
Apparently.
I said I wasn't going to pick an underrated just now, but I guess I kind of will anyways, just because I want to draw attention to the song Wait.
Sky, far beyond the glaring streetlights, sleeping on empty dreams, the vultures lie in wait. You lay down beside me then, you were with me every waking hour, so close I could feel your breath. When all we wanted was to dream, to heaven, to hold that precious little thing. Like every generation gives a newborn hope, unjaded by their youth.
You tell me, I guess, since you're the fan, what instruments does she play? Do you know what she's playing on this album?
She plays guitar, she plays piano. I know that for sure.
That's what I was wondering, those two specifically. And then maybe some other stuff.
And maybe some other stuff. I don't have as deep of knowledge of her as I do like Tori Amos.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But like, I know she was performing somewhere, like an executive saw her and they wanted to hand her a deal at 17, and her parents like, you need to graduate high school. Like, no. And she's just like, I hated it at the time, but I'm so thankful for it because I would not have been ready for this at 17. I was barely ready for it at 19. She's just like, I would not have been able to do this at 17.
Yeah, I think Wait stuck out to me because of the guitar work.
Yeah.
I really like the guitar work on that. It's so subdued, but also driving the whole song. It's so cool, and the tone on it is sick. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know, it sounds like it was recorded in a church or something. It's just got all this weight behind it.
Like every generation heals a newborn hope unjaded by if I leave you now, it doesn't mean that I love you any less.
Really, really good song. And I have no idea what the fuck it's about, but I really like the feel of that one, for sure.
Yeah.
So you've seen her live. Did you see her anywhere else besides Lilith?
I think this is the only time I've seen her. I still need to buy my tickets for her. She's coming in June at Meadowbrook and is going to be playing this album.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's an album deal that she's going to play this whole
Yep.
album? Oh,
Yep.
Shit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
My friends get long tickets. I need to go hit the button. Like, I need to get my long tickets. These are getting up in price. I should get that done.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely want to go see her this year. My only minor complaint is that I don't know if she still has the same backup singer, but I felt like she has a backup singer that just kind of like tacits, like in silent parts. And like if you like listen to like I Will Remember You live, you'll hear it pop in, and it just grates on me so much. I have no idea why. It's just kind of like, oh, we're just making scat noises. And I'm like, it doesn't fit. Stop. Please stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was hopefully a while ago. Maybe things have shifted. No offense to that particular backup singer,
No.
but scatting doesn't really work in any genre but jazz. Sorry.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, this pause needs to be here. Let it be there. You don't need to. It just
Fill it.
Yeah. Sometimes silence is okay.
Yeah, that's partly what music is.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. So you haven't seen her since the Lilith show, and then you're going to see her again this summer. Is that what you said?
Yes.
That's great. When you saw her back in the day, you didn't necessarily have all those years building up of appreciation.
No.
And plus, memories are funny. When I talk about shows that I went to in the 90s, it's like, yeah, I was there. I remember nothing about it. I just know I bought a ticket and that I went to it, but I can remember nothing about it, you know?
Yeah, like I remember a couple of the artists. Like oddly, I remember the person in front of me had a huge zit on their back, and I'm like, "That's what I remember of this concert." Why is that what I focus in on? I don't get that. I'm like, couldn't I just like focus in on like the people playing? But yeah, I remember like I saw like Paula Cole and Fiona Apple, and I think Meredith Brooks was there as well.
Yeah,
but like the zit is
that's
like,
what stands out.
Fair, the zit. I'm like, wow, thanks, brain.
If only we could control the things that we remember best.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, can we remember the good stuff?
I want to go back to, you were talking about her songwriting and her storytelling real quick. And I think a good example of that is the single Hold On.
Hold on to yourself, for this is gonna hurt like hell. Hold on to yourself. You know that only time will tell. What is it in me that refuses to believe this isn't easier than the real thing? My love.
Listening to that song, back in the day, I never bothered really to listen and try and decipher what was going on. But listening to it over the last couple of weeks, I'm like, well, this is clearly about hospice care. There's something going on with someone who's dying. And I was like, well, I better check that out and see if I'm right about that. You know, a little tappity on the Google. And yeah, she literally just like saw a documentary about someone, like a couple with a husband who's dying of HIV, and just wrote a song about it. And like, you know, 25 is not young, but it's still kind of a kid in my mind.
Yeah.
And to have that depth of emotion and that ability, like you were saying earlier, to be able to connect to someone that you never met, you know?
So now you're sleeping peaceful. Lie awake and pray you'll be strong tomorrow, and we'll see another day, and we will pray.
sure. Like, because I was on, I don't know if you remember the compilation No Alternative.
I do.
Yeah, I grabbed it because the Pumpkins were on it and they had Glynis on that track. But she did hold on to that album because, again, it was for AIDS awareness. And she's like, well, that's perfect. This is what the song's for. But it's a different cut of it. And I'm like, oh, well, now I want to dig that out and hear it because I haven't heard it for ages and see what that is.
Man, I had forgotten that she had a version on No Alternative. That explains why that's one of the songs I was most familiar with, because I definitely listened to that a lot as a kid.
And I have a troublemaker here, so.
Hey, buddy. What's he doing?
He's chasing the other one.
So you have two cats. Are they both Maine Coons? Because this seems like a very large cat also.
Yep, he is also a very, very large cat. He's just nothing
God,
but...
he's like man-sized.
Yeah, he is. And funny enough, my other cat's name is Piggy.
Aw.
And I do also sing March to the Pigs to him.
Just like I do to my dog.
I also rewrote the lyrics to Mandy for him. He doesn't seem to appreciate it. So
I think that's part of pet ownership, is singing songs to them as many ways as possible with weird, additions with their name wedged in there somehow.
Yeah, and they just don't appreciate all my hard work and effort rewriting songs. I just,
Well, it's funny that you bring up pets and cats. Sarah McLachlan was very famous in the 90s as a musician. What else was she famous for, Kandice?
Yeah, she was famous for that ASPCA song.
Yeah, she was. That ASPCA commercial, I read an article where she was talking about, she says she couldn't even watch it anymore. Or back in the day, she couldn't watch it. It was maybe too effective, right?
Yeah. I also read that she was like, I'm really known for that, but I wish I could be known for some of the causes I'm interested in. She's just like, I was doing a favor for a friend.
Oh.
She's like, and I'm not for the ASPCA. My causes are more like, music education for children and sort of stuff. She has like Sarah McLachlan schools.
Oh, really?
For music education in areas where they took music out of schools.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Wow. But also, what do you mean the ASPCA is and the cause you believe in? What the fuck, Sarah?
It's not like she doesn't believe in ASPCA. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay,
it's just like...
It wasn't her pet cause.
It wasn't her pet cause. Like, she has like, yes, I'm all for animals, but I have stronger feelings for this. Like, she wishes like her name's more behind those causes so that more light could be brought to those causes and those problems. Not that it's like,
And it's a shame because she kind of got like almost Sally Struthered about it, where like they turned her like the butt of a joke, when this is someone who's like, just like Sally Struthers, someone who's doing some important work.
Yeah.
Clearly like doing way more for the world than most people. And like people are just like, oh, you're sincere about something. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But I wanted to talk about, okay, so I always end my show talking about different stuff that's unrelated, more or less what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this for a year now, and it is admittedly getting harder to find new things to discuss about the 1990s. But I've got kind of a weird one, maybe a bit of a stretch for you and me today. I want, if you can, to try and name, while we're talking about pets, cats and dogs, if you can, give me the 5 most popular cat breeds of the 1990s and the 5 most popular dog breeds of the 1990s.
Oh my God.
Want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I can give it a shot.
I mean, cat breeds, I don't know that I could name 5 cat breeds at all myself.
I mean, Scottish Fold, Maine Coon, American Shorthair, British Shorthair.
Okay, so these are on the list. Maine Coon is number 4.
Maine Coon number 4, yep.
Yeah, American Shorthair is number 7. So
okay,
you're on the right track.
Persians?
Persian was number 1. According to the Cats for America, or whatever the fuck this website is that I'm looking at, Persians were 79% of the registered cats in America in the 1990s. That's a lot of cats.
Yeah.
A lot of Persian cats.
That's a lot of cats. Yeah.
Yeah. So you nailed it pretty much with number 1 there.
Yeah.
So you got number 1, you got number 4. Any guess on 2, 3, and 5?
Tabbies. Do they differentiate tabby, or is that still American Shorthair?
I think that's just American Shorthair, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think tabby is like a coat styling and not like a breed.
Right? Like calico is kind of more like
calico, yeah. Himalayan?
Himalayan's not even the list, although that was one of the only ones I could name. I'll give you a hint. The only other one I could name, I could have named Persian, I could have, of course, named Maine Coon. So I'll give you a hint. The only other cat breed that I could name also was number 2, very famously in 101 Dalmatians.
Really, the Rex?
Siamese.
Was it? I thought that was in Lady and the Tramp.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah, Siamese.
You got me then. Is a Rex a kind of cat, or like a breed of cat? The Rex?
Yeah. Like the hairless cats.
Oh, okay. Maybe my young brain got those scrambled because.
And also, I think that if there was a cat, it might have been brown, and my brain's just thinking Rex. I feel like those naked cats are popular now. I don't think the naked cats were as popular
in the 90s. I don't think so.
Yeah.
They were weird and creepy in the 90s. You want to try dogs?
Oh God, I'll be terrible at dogs.
Although there's less changes on this list than it's probably more what you would expect.
So like labs, retrievers.
Yep. You just named number 1 was labs, which is in the 90s and today. Retrievers number 4.
Collies?
Nope.
Nope. Corgis are popular now. I don't know if they were popular in the 90s.
They weren't then.
No. Border Collie. I think that's like running out of like, I feel like there are so many dogs. Like, were there like yippy dogs, like Yorkie?
Yorkies is on the list, but they weren't,
Okay.
they were like number 10 or something on the list.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where I'm lost at. I like other people's dogs. Jack Russell Terrier. That's the other dog I could think of.
I would have guessed that for the 90s. Jack Russell would have been
Yeah.
a good guess based on Frasier, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the other ones you're missing are Rottweiler, which kind of surprised me
Mm-hmm.
that Rottweiler would be number 2. German Shepherd's number 3, the most bitey dogs out there. And then number 5, Cocker Spaniels, which I had one of those growing up, more like a Cocker Spaniel mix.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked dogs and cats, which I feel like in honor of Sarah, even if she wasn't super into the cause, we are in the arms of angels now. I love it.
Yeah. Speaking of your shirt, have you seen the new series?
Oh, I'm wearing the X-Men shirt. Yes. X-Men 97. I've seen the first 3 episodes that have aired so far. Yeah, what do you think?
I'm stoked currently.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Really strong. The original series was kind of disjointed, and it's already in 3 episodes. They're like, yeah, we're going to make it a little bit more linear.
Yeah. We're going to try telling a story.
Right.
Yeah, like, and my favorite part has been like, oh, I read that comic. Oh, I read that comic. I know what's going to happen here. You know, it's just like, sort of. But I didn't really expect, like, the last episode, like, that had those horror movie elements in it. And I'm like, but awesome.
Yeah, I'm really digging it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else to say about Sarah McLachlan before we go? And also, what song do you want to use to go out on?
Well, we didn't talk much about Possession, but I can go out on that one.
Sounds good. Classic.
Yep. It's a famous, like, you know, letters she received from stalkers and, you know, pulling from that.
Oh.
But she also wrote it to get in that headspace to be like, to kind of understand why someone would want to do this. Like, why would someone want to, like, stalk a person and send them creepy things like what she has in the letter? So that's half the reason she wrote the song, was just to be like, let me get in this headspace to see if I can understand it.
Huh. Dark.
Yeah.
Cool, though. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably the biggest hit from this album, which is kind of surprising. But again, the 90s, people were so interested in, like, creepy, dark, not creepy, but certainly, like, dark and not necessarily poppy until Britney Spears, as you mentioned earlier, came along.
Yeah. You know, like, 'cause I felt like we were, you know, really just kind of like almost bubblegum, sugary in the 80s, you know, except for like small little sex here and there. And so the 90s was like the response of like, no, I want to be sad about everything.
Exactly. And then the pendulum swung.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming back on, Kandice. I really appreciate you doing another episode with me.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
You want to come back on for a third time?
You know, I already have a list, so.
You already have a list. All right. And you should know that people that when they come for their third visit, I usually start encouraging them to also start looking outside of 93, 94, maybe doing something from before that, or even stuff recorded in 94, released in 95, that kind of thing. So if you want to start thinking outside the lines a little bit of 93, 94, you're welcome to, but you don't have to.
Okay, I'll look into it. We'll see.
Okay, sounds good. Good talking to you.
Yep, have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'll take your breath away, and after I wipe away the tears, just close your eyes, dear. I'll hold you down, kiss you so hard. I'll take your breath away, and after I wipe away the tears, just close your
Thanks again to Kandice for coming back on the show. Her presence is much appreciated. I'm happy to report that since we recorded our episode, she did in fact get to go see Sarah McLachlan perform this very album live at Pine Knob here in Michigan. I wasn't there. I'm glad that Kandice was. I'm also happy to report that she was 100% right about those Siamese cats being in Lady and the Tramp, not 101 Dalmatians. I appreciate her coming by the show. You, listener, are also welcome to come on the show if there's an album from 1993 or 1994 that you want to talk about. Kate Bush released The Red Shoes in 1993. love to be able to spend some time talking about this album. Perhaps you want to come on, listener, and talk about this album. Or any other album from this era. I just kind of use this as an opportunity to play something else fun at the end of my show. This 2-year era is lush with many great options of albums to talk about. One last thing, I wanted to shout out the TV show Fresh Off the Boat, because I didn't mention it during the conversation with Kandice, but there are a lot of really solid Sarah McLachlan references, particularly to this album, in that show. The main character, played by Constance Wu, is a huge Sarah McLachlan fan, and repeatedly, Sarah McLachlan comes up. It's fucking hilarious and awesome. It's always very much in tribute. It's great. Okay, I will leave it there. I've got nothing else to say today. Yeah. Bye. Oh, wait. If you want to be on the show, you could email me at 9394podcast@gmail.com or find me on Facebook. And also, I don't know why I say this at the very end of the show when everyone's already hit stop by now, but please rate or review the show. Hit the button, the little star-shaped button or whatever on your podcast listening platform. It helps the show. I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care. '93-'94, a music podcast with Travis Roy, is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.